Hello, welcome to the Pink Pixel Show. I'm Francesca from Interblue Digital.
And I'm Sophie from Valiant Digital.
And we're going to be talking to you today in this episode, our second episode of Pink Pixel Show, about artificial intelligence and how it's affecting the marketing world. So yeah, second show. Our first one, I thought went very well.
I did too. It was just like filming a conversation that we normally have anyway, wasn't it?
Yeah. And we came here, so we're back at the BH podcast studio in Bournemouth. Highly recommend it. I think when we thought about doing a podcast, we would like, oh, let's give it a go. How will it be? And coming down here, they are so great at making you feel welcome, making you feel relaxed. So much so, what was meant to be a demo ended up being our very first episode, didn't it?
It did.
So here we are back again, and we've got cue cards, everyone. We've got some cue cards, so we're getting even more professional as time goes on.
We're leveled up.
Yeah. First of all, just before we get going, because I did promise you guys in the last episode that I would verify the jam story. And I'm so glad to know it just wasn't something I made up. But even if it was, it did make sense, come on, about the cognitive load. So the jam story was carried out by a supermarket called Draeger's. I'm not entirely sure where they were. I could have done further research, but I thought that's enough. I've got a name for supermarket. And they very much did a study where they had they thought that shoppers were more likely to buy a product if there was less choice, and they did it with jams. It was around 24 products of jam down to 6, and they were correct. So they were proven, the hypothesis was proven that, less choice meant more sales. However, Tesco's did adopt that. So they listened to that research and they did adopt that, and they actually did that across a number of product lines. They reduced the product lines. It did result in more sales. So yeah, it was a true story. So I can confirm I wasn't making it all up.
I never thought you would do anyway.
Okay, so then AI. It would be rude not to talk about AI because it feels like it has to be done. We're coming from a digital sphere, marketing.
It's everywhere.
It is everywhere. And I think now, though, we're getting into the AI fatigue, which I'm kind of pleased about, because when AI came into to our world, and it's been here for such a long time, and think about it, what we were saying earlier. So it's from your experience, you've seen AI, haven't you, in the digital space?
Like it's everywhere. I've even seen marketers almost reframe some of their offerings to be in an AIO agency or an AEO agency over an SEO one. It's funny actually. I saw this really cool stat this week. I can't remember where I read it, but apparently, and this is something I might have to verify in the next episode.
There's a theme going on here. We're not doing our research before the show.
No, but apparently women are 25% less likely than men to have adopted it.
Okay, interesting.
I find that quite fascinating.
Yeah, maybe boys and their toys and their whole.
And then it makes me think, but then I'm thinking about like the whole reporting thing as well, because if people don't really know what AI is and whether they are actually using it, then is it being underreported? Something to think about, that, isn't it?
Yes, but to the point of how it's been there actually for the last few years, thinking of how like e-commerce stores like Amazon have been probably using it to present you with products that you're likely going to be buying based on your previous choices. There would have been some artificial intelligence weaved into that, wouldn't there?
Yeah, so it's quite, because of how fast it has accelerated in the last few years and how much more obvious it is. I think there is a bit of a misunderstanding with some people that, okay, this is a brand new thing that we need to be adopting, when actually it's kind of been there just in the background, but just not as prominent as it is now. So things like live chat on your website, that's AI. That's artificial intelligence. That's slowly there. Your recommendations that you get on Netflix for your next movie, it's all based on the algorithms and the massive amounts of data and personal preferences that you're providing to then create a predictive response. So you might like this film because you've watched all these other ones. It's using the data of, I think maybe actually it's a good idea to talk about what AI actually is as well. I think this is a good segue into this.
Yeah, let's start from the basics and give you an idea. And I know a lot of you will know what it is, but there will be people listening, and these are people that we want to be educating, either business owners or practitioners coming into the digital industry and just really understanding what terms mean, AEO, GEO, LLM. So yeah, Sophie, enlighten us.
Okay, so right, and we've all heard of ChatGPT, Gemini.
Mm-hmm.
So they are forms of artificial intelligence that use an LLM. So an LLM is a large language model. And what a large language model is it's basically AI that's been trained on huge amounts of data. And it's designed to understand that data, to summarize it, and then generate a human-like response to that. Um, so yeah, ChatGPT, Gemini, it's not really there's not like a little brain there that's then coming up with stuff that's completely out there. It's generating a likely response based on the algorithms and the prompts that you're putting into it, which is why it's quite a fascinating subject, really, and why prompts are so important as well. Because what you might prompt, so say you were looking for, I don't know, the best chocolate ice cream out there ever. You might put what is the best chocolate ice cream out there ever? Whereas I might put, what's the best Belgian chocolate ice cream in my local supermarket? Two totally different prompts. They're going to give you totally different answers, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then that's a little bit like SEO when you're putting information in there, you're searching for something and you're going to get different results based on the keywords that you're putting in, right? So yeah, it's funny. It's always funny when we've been getting some clients recently, I think, where they've been saying, we need to have AI and
AEO
and
and
AEO
GEO.
and GEO. And okay, agreed. They are different things to SEO, but they rely on a very, very good technical foundation of SEO. So AEO, which is your answer engine optimization, and your GEO, which is generative engine optimization, they look at the most trustworthy sources. So this goes back to Google EAT principles, right? EEAT, the trustworthiness. Who is backing you? Who is giving you a backlink to your site to say you're a really authoritative person in this sphere? Your technical data as well. Like, the technical data is really important because it helps the little bots, the AI bots and also Googlebot understand what that content is about and the structure of it. So that schema is more important than it ever has been. But these aren't new things. These are things that SEO, best practice has been for the last 20 years. That bit hasn't changed. But I think people need to understand and think about, well, what is it that you want to be showing up for in AI? Because if you've got like a very direct question, you type it into an AI machine, right? So you go on Google, Gemini comes up, the AI overviews. It gives you a direct answer. That direct answer doesn't take the user any further than that direct answer because it's informative. They just wanted to find out the answer. But what it does do in certain cases is it cites you as a source for that direct answer. So people could then go and see you. But it doesn't mean that they always will. So I think the thing is that you can't just rely simply on SEO because you're sharing that space in a search engine results page. You've got the map pack. So you've got all your little local businesses that are in that area for that, what you're searching for. You've got your sponsored ads, you've got organic listings, you've got people also ask snippets, which is now where AI is pulling information from as well. That's all part of that. But now you've got the AI overview where it keeps people and gives them a response. So I think you need to have a strategy for all three of these things. But for those people who, they think SEO is dead, it's not dead, it's very much alive. It's just you've got these other components that you're also having to take into consideration and need to strategize for.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone's just saying, just get you on AI overviews, fine, but what for? And what is your plan? Because it's most likely going to be like, FAQs, isn't it, for direct questions, a direct response. You have that in your FAQs. So that will pop up. But then you've got blog content as well, but you've then got to, why are you creating those blogs in the first place? You've got to think about all of the content on your page, on your site, and not just like your blog pages and all the sort of satellite pages, I like to call them, but your evergreen content as well, your main services. How does that fit into the mix?
Mhm.
And it's exciting. I think it's yeah.
Certainly lots to consider. So that was, really, really good run through of how, we have to consider the fundamentals of SEO, because the people that ask us for AEO and GEO aren't sort of industry peers. It's more like
No.
new businesses. So they've heard these buzzwords and they are a thing, but they're more what is achieved through good SEO rather than do me some AEO, do me some GEO. It's like
Yeah.
you'll appear in these search engines, these AI search engines, if you get the fundamentals right. So we
That's
would quite
right.
sort of say there's no such thing as such. We just need to do it right from the start. So, but yeah, again, it's just buzzwords. And going back to the AI fatigue side of things, and what I really meant by that is that I feel now, and I just thought, is it stale to talk about AI today? No, because it's still growing and it's still evolving. But I feel like at the start of this year specifically, and it has been out for years, as Sophie said, it's been there in the background. It's just become a lot more accessible now. It's accessible, and you don't even have to be sort of in the industry, in the digital space where it's widely used. Anybody, it's at the palm of everybody's hands now. And the fatigue is, when I say that, I mean, I feel like now people are just accepting it's a thing. And I think that's the piece, is where there's been so much hype and it's been so subjective across social media. It's been something that somebody can focus on and talk about and rant about and have an opinion on. We all love, like, the next thing will come along soon, I'm sure. But now it's just like, it's just here and let's just
Yeah.
utilize it and don't have to make a big thing of it. And from my point of view, the big thing that's made of it is, oh, we're going to lose our jobs, designers. So I'm a designer, that's my background, and it's going to take our jobs away. So did the invention of the calculator or the typewriter or the computer take people's jobs away? No, they adapted. They used those tools to make their workday more efficient. And that's exactly what we need to do with AI. And I know that I'm probably preached to the converted most of this, or you've heard this all before, but I'm still going to say it because I'd like to give my take on it. But I've been using AI such a lot and I've really, really enjoyed using it. But I use it with such care, and I use it to really, really enhance, what I can be doing from a speed efficiency point of view. So if I can do something quicker, but it's just as good, then I will use it. But it takes a lot of time. If you spend the time with AI and you really test the outcomes and you really check that what they're spitting out is good enough, they haven't missed anything. Because what I like to test AI, I like to give it a task which I know the answer to and see what they come up with. Now, what I find is that they're not necessarily wrong, but they don't always give as much as they could. So you can miss bits. So that's why you've got to be really careful not to rely on it in that respect. But that's maybe just where you're asking it trivial questions. When you start producing things with AI, I think you have to be even more inclined to check what it's doing. I can spend time copywriting in AI because I'm not an actual copywriter, but I use it. But I nurture that copy so much, and I reread it, I recheck it, and I probably, to a point, can spend as much time if I had come at it myself as I am with AI, but not now, because now I've trained my AI so it understands, it needs to sound like me. I need to, want to sound like me. I don't want to look like it's been made with AI. I want to do the things like take out the Americanisms, take out the M dashes. That's what I like. My bugbear is sometimes when people have used AI, which is fine. It's not a crime. It's the way the world's going, and I get how easy it is. But you just see where it's like it's a bit of like a lazy output because you've just taken the first thing it's given to you and you haven't really read it.
But then that's the thing about authenticity as well, isn't it? I've seen some LinkedIn posts from people where they've generated it and it's clearly written by AI. And, even when you're on Facebook and you see like community groups and, people are responding about certain issues and someone's just copied something clearly from ChatGPT, where's your original thought?
Yeah.
Because if we're human and we respond to that, we don't necessarily, if we wanted to use ChatGPT and find out the answer, we'd just do it ourselves. And I think there's there's this thing about the speed and being efficient, but also the output.
Yes.
So with you've trained your AI. So obviously you're giving it more and more data. It's learning more about, well, okay, well, I'll take this into consideration. I mean, I might hallucinate still. does.
Mm.
But you're spending time to train it. Whereas I think a lot of people out there will probably use it as, well, okay, just do this. But then start new conversations without actually training it and saying, what can you remember from the last time that, and sense check, what have you retained information wise about what I want you to be doing? And then they're creating more outputs, but they're still at that first stage. They haven't quite developed it to a state where it has become a really great copywriter. I think also it's worth mentioning as well that because it's data that it's learning from, that data comes from everywhere. Like no one's actually officially said exactly what sources it grabs the information from. But when you're generating images, for example, it's taking in bits of information from all the different artwork that's already out there on the internet and creating you something based with what other people do. And okay, so there's a little bit of originality with it because you've prompted it. But it is borrowing from other people, same as the responses that you are putting out there. So I just think that we're going to be living in this world where there's a lot of inauthentic content that's boring to read. So that's not good for search engines anyway, because it's probably the same as everybody else that's writing about that same topic.
Sure.
But it's boring for the user as well. Why would I want to buy from somebody where I've read this a million times and it doesn't feel real, or there's no USP, or it doesn't reflect the brand tone?
Come on, what's the term you like to call it? Say all the time to me.
Slop.
Yeah,
it's AI slop. It is
AI slop, and I think that's where it will, like you said, it will just keep giving you the same if the prompts are too simple and you're not nurturing it enough. And that's the same with design. And I'll talk a little bit more about how I use it for design. But if I was just to use it as my actual front end styling, a lot of the time I'm going to get the same output. So everything's going to start looking the same. The design's going to start looking the same. The styling's going to start looking the same. Because if you're just doing it without nurturing it and really, really putting some thought into it, you're just going to take the base level thing that AI gives you. That's what somebody else down the road's doing. That's what someone else next door to them's doing. So eventually all the websites are going to start looking the same, and all the apps
Have you seen those like posters that everyone's doing where it's like a cartoon-esque look, but they all look identical?
Yes.
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah, because they've just taken the first thing that AI gives them. But in terms of how I use it from a design perspective and how I've honestly found it like so liberating is prototyping. So I can create a clickable prototype. So it might be of a web journey, might be of an app journey. And I would spend days in a software like Figma, or back in the day, Adobe XD. I use Figma more so now to put these wireframes together, have them all linking up. But I can just vibe code that now in Claude. So Claude is my go-to for vibe coding these clickable prototypes. And it just saves me hours and hours and hours. And at that point, because it's a prototype, how it's sort of coded in the background. So if the code is bloated, if it's not quite getting picked up by SEO search engines, it doesn't matter, because all I care about is this what I'm seeing on the front end doing this journey. And you can very, very quickly make tweaks to it, and it understands it, and it's got to learn me more and more.
That's exactly how I'm using it too with you. So you know that that design I put forward to you, because obviously I don't design things, I'm not a designer.
yes, I
but
remember.
I wanted you to obviously help me with this project that we've got, where it was like, this is my vision for how it's going to look. And can you sort out the mechanics about that and give me a proposal for what you want to do with it? But I used AI to tell it what I wanted and said that these are the sections I want, this is what I want it to have, just to give you the concept. I think it helped me relay, instead of me writing paragraphs and lots of words that you might have been like, oh, okay, let's go backwards and forwards and try and work out what exactly it is that I'm trying to do. I was able to give you a visual to say, this is ideally what I want to do. But then you are then able to recreate it manually.
Absolutely. And it's just an easy way for Sophie to then like basically brief me as a designer, say this is the sort of thing I'm thinking. It just makes it easier for her, because you don't always get on so well with the like creating visuals, as you say. Well, that's not your
it's not my bag,
is it? It's more SEO, data analysis, and that side of things. So I do the creative side. But yeah, even as a creative, it's just, like I said, so time consuming now to think how I used to create things. And it just gets you something in front of a client really quickly. I mean, it's that quick. You can be on a call with a client and just vibe some stuff on the call to say, is this what you're thinking? Just so you can both get on the same page and line really quickly within minutes. And it's absolutely fantastic. I love creating prototypes, but designs, I wouldn't necessarily create design. I've had a play because I just was interested to see the limits, and it's really not there yet. And the thing which really made it obvious to me was I needed a diagram of a horse. And so I asked for this, like an outline of a horse, and it just looks like some weird, deformed prehistoric creature. It looked nothing like a horse. And I thought, how hard can that be to put together just an outline of a horse, not all the features and expressions, but a really basic, like, outline. So I then thought, okay, I'm going to help it a little bit. I'm going to take an outline. I actually found online the exact type of image I wanted, but I wanted AI to build it. I uploaded that image and it was just getting worse and worse. But because I've got a designer eye, and actually I think anybody can know what a horse looks like or not. But the point is that you need to see when things aren't right.
Yeah.
So when it's, again, if I'm doing things if I'm creating a prototype and there are inconsistencies in the call to actions, like that I've told it to do, or things aren't work, I can see that and I can say that's not right. And then so I correct that. So it's that when, saying we do need the human, you need that knowledge. And again, my knowledge, and that's why I'm not going to lose my job and you're not going to lose your job and nobody's going to lose their job, because you need that knowledge to know, is this right, is this wrong? So if somebody was to go in and create a prototype who didn't have that prior knowledge, that's absolutely fine to go in and do that and have a play, but the output might not be as it should, and you won't know that.
No.
So, like, Sophie, with you, what's the worst thing that you've seen, like, from an SEO not ever, just from an SEO point of view, in terms of somebody's used AI to do SEO, somebody who might not be, SEO trained, and what that's kind of then resulted in?
Yeah, okay. So I think I've got a couple of things for this one.
Fine.
Okay, so the first thing would be, I get why they did it. Like I completely understand why they did it. It was to speed up a process, something that was extremely time consuming for e-commerce businesses to be able to, like, put in all the data for their products and stuff and upload that all in one go. But because they didn't have an SEO head, they weren't able to guide the AI into being completely perfect. So what it's actually done is just created mass duplicate content problem. And that's obviously terrible for SEO, because if you've got pages that are all the same, Google and search engines and even AI, right, they're all looking for information that's going to be really helpful to the user and based on the prompt that they're putting in. Well, if that content's all very much the same, it's probably going to think that it's like spam content. It could penalize it. It might ignore it completely, won't index it. It could affect some of your main pages that are being indexed as well. So actually, it's causing a bit of an SEO headache. But I think this is the thing, like with the hallucinations. People don't necessarily, if you don't have that training to hand and you don't know what you're looking for, like, with your designs, you know what to look for. I know what to look for with SEO. If you don't have that ability, then you assume that your product does the right thing, but you haven't stress tested it with, like, an SEO. And yeah, so that wasn't great. That was that was pretty bad. And then I think, another thing that they've done with AI. This is a tricky one, because there's some bits that are really good, but then there's stuff that's just copies. I think it's mostly the duplicate content issue.
Yeah, that's an issue.
And the lack of originality.
Yes, or somebody using the tools, which there's a lot of AI tools out there, which business owners will pick up because say, oh, this is an SEO bot for your website. And again, you just need a little bit of guidance and knowledge on SEO.
But do you know what that reminds me of? Yoast.
Yes.
And the traffic light system. And how you used to have, like, there are some people out there that will obsess about making all of those little lights green. They don't have to be. You have to take it step by step, website by website, to see, well, what is the problem? Is it a problem? Or is it just telling me, like, I'm trying to be helpful? Just like Google Ads says, do you know what? You could spend an extra £200 and I might show your ad a bit more. Like, it's one of those things that you need to have an understanding of marketing and sort of the basics of each of these different disciplines to be able to understand, well, is this actually good for me? But I was thinking about the hallucinations as well, and I was just thinking what you were saying. Do you know, I've actually done a bit of an experiment myself. I actually asked it, I said, I was playing around with it, and I like it for proof of concepts, right? Um, but I was playing around with it, and it just wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. It was hallucinating. Every time I told it to fix one thing, it ruined the text, and it made really stupid spelling mistakes. And I kept saying, like, correct it, and this is what it should read. I still didn't do it. And in the end, I said to it, how can I prompt you to get this right? And it actually gave me a very detailed overview of exactly what kinds of files it needed to be able to create what I wanted to. Still couldn't do it. But that was in quite an early stage. So maybe it's a bit more developed now than it was.
In terms of tools in development, I think Claude is my go-to, and that has come on leaps and bounds in the last few months. And understanding how I work, I like that you can have now context between multiple chats as well.
Oh,
So, like,
nice.
if you feel like, because again, I test it sometimes. I will give it a task in one chat, then I go and give it a task in another chat to see what and give it slightly different information to see what the outcome in, and it's usually aligned. I've actually been using it to design and to build a bit of a side project I'm working on, which I will talk about, I'm sure, in future shows. So that was a really good fun to actually build an output, a website. I've built a website. It's a tool that's going to be a web-based application. And for me, it was great because when I was going through, I was testing. I say it was great. It's great that the human me was involved, because what it would do, this is what you've got to be careful of. If I'm going through and I'm making adjustments to the build, it will adjust something that I've asked it to adjust. And you look at it and go, yeah, that's great. It's fixed it. But it knocks something else out.
Oh, no.
And not always visually. So it's knocking out some of the logic that I'd put in behind the tool. And again, it was just through testing that I noticed this. So you have to really, really be careful. It's not always what it seems. And again, without a human involvement, you could just thrown all the changes. It seemed to be okay, and then exported it. But this comes back to the whole user acceptance testing piece anyway. I would always get multiple people to test a build that I've done, which I've been doing. I've been sending out the build, getting people to test it, see if they can find any issues. I've also shared it with the developer, because again, I'm not a coder. I've managed to code this. I've vibe coded it with Claude, and it works wonderfully. But our SEO search engine is going to pick it up. Is the code over bloated? So I'm going to again get that professional view on what I've created, because I'm the designer and the design looks great and I can verify that, but I can't verify that the code is absolutely perfect. It works, it's doing what I want it to do, but again, is there more code than there needs to be? Is it going to get picked up by search engines? There's all those things to consider.
And there are people that you can create an entire website using AI. You can physically do that. What the outcome of that looks like might be very different for each people, because again, it's down to the prompt that you put in. How good is the prompt that you put in? If you put in a really basic prompt, I just need a website, you're going to get something incredibly basic. Whereas if you were to prompt it better to say, do you know what, like, this is the structure of it, this is what needs to happen, and give it that could save you time for a developer.
Yeah, having that sort of that initial sort of planning involved,
But
really setting out a story.
Yeah, but for like someone down the street who just wants a new website and they think that AI is the answer, it probably won't be. It might actually cost you more in the long run trying to fix the problems that it causes than it would be to get somebody who is a professional and knows what they're doing to actually give you a starting block. Even if it's a one-pager, at least it's a solid one-pager. It's not something that isn't never going to be indexed. It isn't there's no copyright issues or anything like that, because the content has been put in by yourself. But yeah, I mean, whether, like, a developer they could use AI. I don't really see a problem with that, as long as they are regularly checking it and they've gone through it line by line, and they use the time not for the build but for the review of what's actually created and how it works.
Absolutely.
Then that's fine. Like, the customer still gets to say a good product, don't they? Because it's still it's been sense checked by somebody who knows what they're doing.
That's it. And then you can spend that time, rather than creating all the code from scratch, you can help, by vibe coding it, and yes, spend some time testing it, but actually then spend some time bringing more value to your clients. And I think that's the piece here, isn't it? And I think that's how we really excel using AI, because the project still can take the same amount of time, but we're using our time to the project differently. We're using it to ensure that we can empower their business more, bring in more ideas, bring in more output.
Work on more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Get further down that chain as well. If you're just starting out, we can be further ahead because we're working on stuff where something else has addressed it for us. I actually had a question for you. I was just thinking, where do you think that, obviously you're a designer, and I already think, like, with AI, I've kind of, I think I even mentioned in the last one that you can use it to do little bits and small pieces of SEO, but I wouldn't trust it to do huge volume, big jobs. But where do you think AI could be best used with website design? And then do you think there's only that specific parts of the process that it could help people with, or do you think it could just be used entirely and to complete full projects?
I think where it's at now, very much as I've sort of said in this podcast, is it's very useful and very accurate for that sort of planning phase. So where, that initial sort of prototyping, the testing, the iterating. So really sort of playing test and learn, user testing. I think it's works really well there. If you're going to start designing with it, the thing is, the design that I've created for my side project, the styling of it was quite simple, and so AI did its job. It was fine. But I think if you're then coming into, working with prestigious brands, then you need to be going back into your design programs and art working up the designs, so there's a lot more there in terms of the styling. So I still think currently, for me, I think it's more useful at that sort of planning, testing, iteration stage, rather than here's the final output. Depending on what you're building, with bigger corporate clients, you do need to put that additional design effort in. If you're creating a quick one-page landing page for a little local festival down the road, then possibly that AI built site will be enough. So it's very subjective and very case by case.
Unless you wanted to bring that festival back each year and you want it to rank, and there's no technical flaws with it as well. So I think it's an interesting time to be alive, isn't it? Really, because we've gone through all of these different eras as well with our own sort of careers. We started with like dial up, and now we're in a place where we've got machines learning and telling us things for us.
We're really lucky. It's a really good time for us to be working in this industry. Anyway, I think there's lots more to be said on AI, but we'll wrap that up for now. So thank you for listening. See you next time.
See you next time.